applied on a minute-by-minute basis. The second aspect, intensifying ethnic cleansing, confiscation of Palestinian land and resources, and the building of exclusive Jewish settlements, institution settlements, and infrastructure. Where else can you have roads that some of them are for Jews and some of them are for Palestinians? Forget roads for a second. In the city of Hebron, by the way, streets within the city of Hebron are divided. One section for Jews and one section for Palestinians. Where else do you have this kind of nonsense? For how long are we going to tolerate that kind of nonsense? But I think if we do not pay attention, it will intensify. Land is being cleared out from underneath the Palestinians. I just started by telling you, since 1967, it has been the consensus of the international community to build a Palestinian state on 22% of Palestine. What's left for the Palestinians is less than 9%. And it is ongoing. The loss of Palestinian land is ongoing. And not only in the West Bank, but also within Israel itself. They are not satisfied by 78% that was under their control in 1967. They are not satisfied by taking more than 65% of the West Bank. They are also going after the Negev, after the people of the Negev, and they are in the process of evicting 40,000 of them. And all of them are Israeli citizens. And these Israeli citizens cannot fight back because they happen to be Palestinians. They are the wrong race. They are the wrong religion. Where else do we have this kind of monstrosity in the 21st century? It doesn't exist. But do you know what? Our governments know that and they allow it. And I'm talking about my government, the United States of America, the Swiss government, the French, the German. All of these governments are in bed with apartheid Israel and are silent and allowing it to happen. The third thing that will happen, increasing violent acts and apartheid practices against the indigenous Palestinian civilians to force their deportation, exile, or internal reallocation. It's taking place. By the way, for the last couple of months, Israeli soldiers at one time, they used to shoot to injure. Now they shoot to kill. Literally, for the last couple of weeks, tens of Palestinians have been shot dead for no reason whatsoever, except to terrorize the local population. Nothing else. You cannot say anything else. They are engaged in systematic terrorist activities against the indigenous people to force them off their land, to force them to submit. And that's taking place and increasing. If it is not going to be what I just described to you within or under the control of Israel, I think, and mark my word, it might last for another 10, 15, 20 years before another regional war will break out. What kind of a regional war are we going to have? A couple of months ago, Israeli politicians had no qualm about telling us they want to wipe Iran off the map of the earth. The same thing they said, the Iranian president said they want to wipe Israel of the map of the earth. When they attacked Lebanon in 2006, they destroyed entire blocks of cities in Lebanon. The Lebanese fought back with bombarding North Palestine, North occupied Palestine, with rockets. What kind of war are we going to have in the future? If everybody's going to be armed to the teeth, who is going to suffer? Not only the Palestinians, but also the poor little Israelis that are being held hostage by the policies of their governments. Now, we talked about sad things for long. Let us talk about what we can do as people sitting around in a little hall in Zurich, Switzerland. I appeal to you to consider the one democratic state option in your activities. This is the only viable one left. A two-state solution is dead. It has been dead. The Oslo agreements that were reached in 1993 between the Palestinian Authority and Israel are dead and have been dead for many years. And they have been dead for many years not because Mahmoud Abbas hasn't tried, although I am very critical of Mahmoud Abbas. I don't like the guy. I don't like his policies. But I will tell you, he tried his best. And in my opinion, he should have closed shop long time ago and gone on a holiday for a long time and let Israel be held responsible as a belligerent occupier. They tried. Israel continued to build its settlements, continued its apartheid, intensified its apartheid practices. I want you to, and here I discussed with you the 10 points. I think what we have is an apartheid state. What is needed is to transform that apartheid system into a democratic system with equality for all. Now, when I say transform, I'm not saying that we need to kick out the Israeli Jews or to throw out anybody. I want them to stay, and I want them to participate in the building of the one democratic state. The second thing is to intensify your efforts to expose the apartheid Israel. I'm not talking about only its practices in the West Bank or in its quarantine, they call it quarantine, but anyway, I don't know what else would I call what's going on against Gaza. The entire population of Gaza is being literally, their lives, their livelihood, their culture, everything is being reduced to rubble. But I'm also telling you to pay attention to the laws and the practices and the policies of the State of Israel against its own Israeli Arabs. I have mentioned to you more than 40 laws, 40 Israeli laws are on the books that discriminate against Israeli citizens based on religion and ethnicity. And that is the basis of what? Keeping the people apart. This is the basis of apartheid as practiced in Israel. So study it, expose Israel, and carry out your civic duties. I think Israel is not going to listen to us talking diplomatically, talking human rights and international law and all this kind of beautiful thing. Israel is going to pay attention to us when we stop buying its dates, its drones, as Switzerland is planning to do, when we stop welcoming their Zionist speakers, their Zionist orchestras, symphonies, what have you. We ought to be smart enough to distinguish between Jews who are noble and kind and sincere, and those Israeli Zionists who are trying to perpetuate and support apartheid in Israel. I'm not saying that our boycott has to be against Jews. No, that's not the call that we are calling for. It's not against decent human beings like us and whom we want to be our partners. But it ought to be against the state of Israel, its structures, its products, its activities. All of that should be included. The last one, organize activities, and here I am taking the liberty to ask you to do that. But after all, you are free agents, you do whatever you please. But I think by organizing activities to educate the public about the universal ideas of the message that I have delivered to you today or tonight, and to consider forming local groups in order to perpetuate these universal ideals, I think we will move forward. To sit down and say it is hopeless, I think it's a defeatist mentality. You have the right, you have the will, and you have the power to turn things around. Thank you, and I'm here to answer your questions.